Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another easy crochet hat tutorial. I'm using premium yarn from Red Heart with Love. It is in the color Lemon Drop and it is a worsted weighted yarn. You can find them pretty much at any craft store or online. I'll try to leave links below. And my hook, I am using a size J today. You can definitely vary with your hook. It all depends. The size of your hook will determine the size of your stitches, so I wanted to stick with J for this project. Now you're only going to need one skein of yarn to complete the entire hat. I did a pretty big hat, so believe me, you will only need one. I'm going to start with a slip knot, and we're going to go ahead and do a foundation chain of 8. So guys, this is going to be my first time creating a hat that's starting from the bottom. I usually start with the magic circle and I do from the top down, but right now we are working on the actual brim or rim of the hat, whatever you want to call it. So you're doing your foundation chain of 8, and basically your chaining is wrapping the yarn over and pulling through, wrapping the yarn over and pulling through. So just make sure that you count, you have your 8 chains, and then we can go on to the next part. This really, I try to bring you guys patterns or just projects that are so simple that you really don't have to think and you can just go ahead and do it. So hopefully this is one that you guys will like. To start, you're going to do single crochets into every chain. We're going to go to the very next chain from the hook, and you're going to insert your hook, wrap the yarn over, pull through, and then you wrap the yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops. That is a single crochet. Insert, wrap the yarn, pull through, I'm sorry, wrap the yarn over and pull through. Again, insert your hook, pull through, wrap the yarn over and pull through the loops. Insert and wrap the yarn over, pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, wrap the yarn over and pull through those 2. And you're just going to continue that down the duration of the chain. Okay guys, so we've come to the end of the row, and just make sure that you hold everything taut, and once you get to the end you're going to chain 1 and you then turn your work. And what we're going to do, we are going to be single crocheting into the back loops of the previous chain or the previous stitch or the previous row. So again, you're going to go into the chain that's right next to the hook. You're going to insert your hook, wrap the yarn over, pull through, wrap the yarn over, pull through. Insert, wrap the yarn, pull through, wrap the yarn over, pull through the loops. So we're going to continue that all the way down. And working in the back loops is going to give us the ribbed look that we're going for. And once you have your total of 7 single crochets, you will be at the end of your row. You chain up 1. Okay guys, so far this is what your project should look like. You're going to continue making the rows and you're going to base it on the head of the person that you're making the actual hat for. I did a total of 70 with the J hook. Again, if your hook is smaller, it depends. So you really just need to measure against the head of the person that you are making the project for. So what we want to do now, again, I did 70 rows and we are going to join them. Very simple, very easy. We are just going to join them by single crocheting the 2 ends together. So you're going to take your work and pretty much lay it on top of each other evenly. And we want to make sure that we do chain 1 at the end of that final row. And we are then going to join by single crocheting. So I'm going under the first chain. And when I say under, it's going to actually be under, so you'll have the stitch on top. And then I'm going to go through the back end of the actual rim, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going right underneath that one, and I'm yarning over, pulling through both, yarning over and pulling through both loops on top. I'm just going to repeat that 6 more times. So you should have 7 single crochets again in this area. I hope I'm making sense, guys. Again, I usually say kind of watch it just in case you can't follow my directions. And it will be a little tight here if you crochet like I do. I do happen to have like a heavy hand, and I'm a stern hand, so I kind of grip a little tighter than I should. So if you don't do like I do, then you should have no problem getting through your loops. But yeah. Okay, guys, so I'm at the end. I did 7, and as you can see, it has attached, or yeah, it has attached the one piece together. And now we are going to start working in a different direction. So instead of the way that we were going, we're going to start working around the circumference of the hat. So we're going in a circle. So what we want to do now is we want to create a foundation chain for the actual puff stitch hat. So we're going to chain 1, and what we're going to do is do a single crochet into each end, the end of each stitch. So basically my hat has 70 rows. There should be 70 single crochets. So you're going to insert your hook. Again, because I do it a little tighter, it's going to be harder for me. Wrap the yarn over, pull through, wrap the yarn over and pull through too. And I'm going to go to my next row and just continue that process throughout the entire 70 stitches. So you can definitely count as you're doing this, and you want to make sure that you're not doing more than the stitches that you've already done, because what that's going to do is kind of start to make your hat formation fall off, so it won't be the way it should. You have to make sure that you count. So this is what it's looking like so far, and you can see that the stitches are above each row that I did. I'm just making sure that the elasticity is still there, that I'm not pulling too tight here, because that will really make a difference. So now I'm going to just continue that all the way around the single crochet. Alright guys, so now that I'm at the end of those single crochets, I'm going to join by a slip stitch into the first single crochet of that row, And now you guys are ready. You have created your foundation. And what you're going to do now is just wrap the yarn over. And we're going to begin with our puff stitches. So we're going to chain 2. That's going to take us to our next row. And puff stitching is really, really simple. You will have to count, but it's mindless counting. So you're going to wrap the yarn over, put it through the very next loop, pull through, stay in that same loop, wrap it over, pull through, and you're going to wrap it over one last time. Go back into that same loop and pull through. You should have 7 loops on your hook, and you are then going to wrap your yarn over and pull through all 7 loops and chain 1. The chain 1 is going to secure the puff. So when doing puff stitches, you skip a stitch. So we're going into the second stitch from the hook, insert, wrap it over, pull through, wrap it over, insert, pull through, wrap it over, insert, pull through all 7 loops. We're going to wrap over now and pull through all 7 loops. Okay, I'm going to get a little close and slow it down for you. So now we're skipping a stitch because we want to make sure that we have a space in between each puff stitch. So we're wrapping the yarn over, inserting into the second stitch from the hook, wrapping over, pulling through. You have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap over, insert, pull through. You have 5 on your hook. So for our last, we're going to wrap over, insert, pull through, and there should be 7 loops on your hook. You're then going to wrap your yarn over and pull through all 7 loops and chain 1 to secure that puff. And guys, that's all you're doing with this hat. Like for the remaining of the hat, this is what we're going to do. You're doing puff stitches, skipping each stitch, or should I say alternating each stitch, so you'll have a space in between, and that's it. We're just going to keep going and around. If you guys have questions, please feel free to ask me down below in the comments. I will try to get back as efficiently as possible and to try to answer your questions to help you guys out, just in case my directions are a little fuzzy. I just encourage you guys, don't be frustrating. Crocheting can be very calming. It can be a very fun thing. It gives you a sense of accomplishment, you know, and to be able to gift handmade items that people will, you know, it's sentimental and it has value. I'm just going to continue all the way around, and I'll meet you guys back when we get to the end of this row. Okay guys, so now we are at the end of row 1, and what we are going to do, we are just going to do a continual round. So we're not slip stitching, we are just going to keep going around and around. It's going to make it so much easier. It's also going to avoid having like this stitch line all the way up the hat. We don't want that. So you're going to go into the top of the first puff stitch that we did. We already yarned over, going through, pulling up, yarning over, going through, pulling up, yarning over, going through, pulling up, which has our 7 loops, and pulling through all 7 and doing a single chain. Now it's going to be a lot easier from here because we're going into the available spots that are open. So we are doing our puffs in between each other. So you don't even have to think about which stitch to go into. You will be able to tell. So you're going right in between the stitches that are already in the previous row. So we wrap our yarn over, and we're going to go right through that opening, pull through, wrap it over, pull through, wrap it over, pull through. We're wrapping over a total of 3 times, and then we pull through and do the chain 1 to secure. And guys, it's that simple, and that is what we're doing for the remainder of this hat. So we come to the end of the second row, and again, we're just going to keep going. I just wanted to stop here to show you guys that you're just going to keep going in between the puff stitches, creating another puff stitch, which is actually, you know, adding the row. And guys, you're going to continue going upward and around until you get to your desired length of the hat. Tell where your rows begin based on the stitching at the bottom where your tail hangs out from the actual rim of the hat. So for me, I did 12 rows, 12 rounds, and you can see I'm back to my beginning stitch. So what I want to do is slip stitch the front and the back of the hat together. So I'm just going through and I am slip stitching the hat. So it's an even stitch, so you should have the even amount on each side. It should look as even as possible. And once you get the middle stitched, we're going to start working and tucking in the sides of the hat. So what you're going to do is bring in that side, pinch it a little bit, and try to get as centered as possible. And once you start doing this part, you're going to go around the puff stitch and do a slip knot or slip stitch. And this is going to really grip the hat and make sure that you have a secure hold. So again, you're going behind that stitch, you're wrapping your yarn over, and you are just pulling through. And then you're going to just keep rotating and doing that until your hat is perfectly cinched. There's really no rules, but this is the easiest way to do it. Unfortunately, I was out of focus or my hat wasn't in view. I did not realize that until now. So but again, you're going around the puff stitch and then you're doing your slip stitch and everything is going to be cinched in the middle. You can also do this by basically doing a needle and thread, which I'm going to do as well because I like to be really secure. You never want to gift somebody a hat and it just falls apart. So I just always want to do and go the extra mile. So here I'm still just rotating and slip stitching the top of the hat. It's going to kind of look like a starfish type of top. Just take your time with this, no need to rush, and just make sure that you are pulling and securing everything. So I'm pretty much done. It's all cinched up into like this perfectly shaped dome. I am going to again secure it by threading it. So if you want to do that, make sure you leave a good enough tail. Cut that off, the remaining yarn, and I'm just going to thread my needle and start just stitching through the top of the hat. Okay, so guys, I'm satisfied. I'm going to get ready to close off my the stitching. So I want to secure it one last time. What I'm doing here is just making sure that everything is in place. There are no gaps. The top of the hat is together. And now that I have that, I'm going to just go ahead and do my final stitch or thread my final time. And so this time I'm just going to go in between the thread before I secure it just to make a knot. So that is going to create a knot and then we are all good to go. I'm going to cut that off and we will be done. So once you cut that off, you go ahead and turn the hat inside out, which is actually, we're always working from the inside of the hat when we crochet. So now this is what the hat will look like. You can definitely stop here if you want, and this can be your hat. I am going to add a pom-pom to mine. So very easy to do so. So let's just get started. If not, you guys are done. So I'm going to take the same yarn, and to make a pom-pom, if you do not have a pom-pom maker, which I don't, you're just going to wrap the yarn around your 4 fingers. And the more yarn that you wrap, the bigger your pom-pom will be. And you always want to go more than you think because you're going to have to trim off a lot of excess with the pom-pom. So just keep going until you really have no finger space left. So that's what I'm going to do. sped it up a little bit for you guys so you don't have to sit through that entire process. And once you guys are done, you can cut off the remaining yarn, and we are going to then carefully, you want to remove the yarn from your fingers. You want to keep it intact the way that it is. Just carefully remove it. And I'm going to cut off some excess yarn to tie around the yarn that I just made, or I'm trying to create a pom-pom out of. So you want to take that yarn and place it right in the middle of that and cinch it together. I always do a double knot because with so much yarn, it's going to be hard to stay with just a single knot. And once I do that, guys, I actually will then do the same thing to the other side. So I just kind of flip the palm and I tie it again on that side. Okay, so now that we're done, we are just going to take our scissors and go right through that little open loop on the one side and cut through. Sorry again for the view. I am still a work in progress when it comes to recording these videos. And you're going to do the same thing to the other side. I like my pom-poms to look a little frayed. I don't really like the puff, like real sculpture type of palm, but you can definitely get that from here. Basically, it all depends on how much you trim off and how you trim it. So I think this is a little too raggedy. So we are going to begin trimming down to my liking. Just trying to make sure that everything's even. And I don't want to trim off so much that I lose the size. So I'm satisfied with this pom. If you are not, you can continue to trim until you get a perfectly shaped pom-pom. So to attach it is very simple. You're going to place the pom where you want it to be, and the tails that are hanging that we tied on, we're going to thread it through the top of the hat and secure it. It's that simple. That's how we're going to attach it. And I've threaded it through, and I'm just going to tie it off. I also will reinforce it with the needle as well because, again, I'm a stickler for reinforcement. And right there, I'm just threading it through just to secure it. Cutting it off, and voila, that is it, guys. We are done. I'm going to cut off the little beginning from the chain one, and that's it. This is the hat. Really cute. I really love how the colors worked together and how it came out. So definitely, I mean, you guys can do this in a lot of different variations, but hopefully you guys liked the video. Thumbs up if you did. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe if you have not. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be blessed, and most importantly, be a blessing.